This morning, we got ourselves a new quarterback list. And I think this is usually the last one of summer. You know, there's usually like PFF and then the ESPN one. But the one that is last this year is the quarterback tiers over at The Athletic. So Mike Sando does an exercise every year where he has people around the NFL tier the quarterbacks, not just rank them, but put them into separate kind of groups, right? Tiers. So let me give you the different tiers and tell you where Jalen Hurts ranks. So tier number 1, and this is usually reserved for, I think like 4 to 5 guys end up in this tier typically each year. Tier 1. A quarterback can carry his team each week. The team wins because of him. He expertly handles pure passing situations. He has no real holes in his game. Now, Hugh, before I unveil Tier 1, do you believe Jalen Hurts belongs in Tier 1?
Do I believe he belongs in Tier 1? No, I don't. Okay. If I'm being fair, no.
Finally.
Well, no, I'm saying
it only took 2 months of this.
Well, he has holes in his game.
Yeah,
that was one of the criteria.
That is part of the criteria. Here is Tier 1, according to the Athletics quarterback list as we enter 2025. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford. Those are the 5 best quarterbacks in the league according to this ranking, and they're all Tier 1. The Stafford one actually surprised me a little bit because he's older now, and he's not, at least physically, what he was.
He is not what
ago.
he used to be.
Right.
And the first thing that jumps out to me is he was all that in Detroit, but he couldn't get them over the hump. So, but if we're talking about those intangibles, then yeah, Jalen's not that.
Okay, here's Tier 2. Tier 2 quarterback can carry his team sometimes, but not as consistently. He can handle pure passing situations in doses and or possesses other dimensions that are special enough to elevate him above Tier 3. He has a hole or 2 in his game. Does this sound like where Jalen Hurts belongs?
Yeah, and you know, it's the irony of this list is how specifically it was worded. That's why they worded it that way.
So here is the Tier 2. And I'm going to give you the order of the Tier 2, okay? So it's not just tiered, it's ordered within the tier. Number 6 overall, and the first guy in Tier 2 is Jaden Daniels. Number 7 overall, and the second guy in Tier 2 is Justin Herbert. Number 8 overall, and the third guy in Tier 2 is Jared Goff. And then tied for 9th overall, and in that Tier 2, C.J. Stroud and Jalen Hurts. Just to round it out, Baker, Dak, Jordan Love, Purdy also made this same Tier 2 as those other guys. Here's what they said about Jalen Hurts, and this is what I thought was interesting. So there's some quotes in here from the voters, all right? Jalen, quote, Jalen does everything the right way for how they have been built, an offensive coordinator said. I see him as a really good player on a team with a bunch of really good players. I agree with that.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's a good way to say it. Okay, here is something else said. This was by a GM in the NFL. Quote, this is going to sound like I don't like him, but I do. Just by the definition, I feel as he is more of a 3. And am I on an island with that? So 11 voters put him on Tier 3, the next tier down. And that would be, let me give you the definition of that quickly. Tier 3 is a legitimate starter, but needs a heavier running game and or defensive component to win. A lower volume drop-back passing offense suits him best. I could see why he got some Tier 3 votes.
I mean, is that not the most valid description of Jalen Hurts?
What is it?
So a Tier 3 quarterback is a legitimate starter, but needs a heavier running game and or a defensive component to win. A lower volume drop-back passing offense suits him best. I understand why some put him in that category.
I think he's above. I think he's a Tier 2, and I think he's better than most want to give him credit for. See, this is the problem. I mean, it's not a problem. Let me take that back. It's worded in a way where I think it's being fair to Jalen, but also a little bit backhanded. Because when you talk about those Tier 1 quarterbacks that, from their own wording, is able to carry their team, how many of those quarterbacks outside of Patrick Mahomes and Stafford have carried their team to the Super Bowl and won it?
Well, none. Burrow's the only one that's been there.
Yeah,
but I think when they say carry, they mean week to week.
Yeah, week to week, they've carried their team, but in the biggest game, they didn't get it done. Like, I get, when you talk about pure talent and you talk about playing the position, I can't sit here and argue that Jalen is on the same tier as Patrick Mahomes. I don't think anybody can, because Patrick Mahomes is on a different tier.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yep.
But when you talk about those unquantifiable intangibles that Jalen brings to the table, he's done something that all those other guys that are in front of him haven't done. And even when Lamar Jackson came out, as dynamic as he is at that position, he with all due respect, he still comes up short in the playoffs for whatever reason that is. Even though he's able to carry his team to lofty heights with a strong running game, still doesn't have enough to get them over the hump.
Not yet.
Josh Allen, the same thing as of right now, as of today, hasn't gotten his team over the hump.
But did Jalen carry the Eagles?
No.
Jalen has had his moments where he's played well, and Jalen has played well in one of the biggest moments you could possibly play in, and
When's
that's
the
the
last time
Super
he
Bowl.
carried the team, quote unquote?
2022. Well, that's the last time I thought he did it consistently.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's
and,
had games.
and even to say carry is a stretch. They had a great defense that led the league in sacks, and they had the number one running game.
I did think he was a bigger part of it then, though.
Sure,
Yeah, but
absolutely.
But Miles Sanders was a guy.
Carrying is a lot to me.
But
It is.
they went out and they realized his limitations, and they put talent around him. I don't see a problem with that. See, to me, when I hear this, and I hear a lot of these pundits talk about Jalen, it's like he almost is penalized because they went out and got talent. But that's the job of every GM.
Sure.
Every
It is.
GM in the league's job is to identify those players, those once in a lifetime players, those players that make it happen, and then put talent around them.
So here's what's standing out to me. Now, we have one more element of this ranking business that's going on. The NFL Top 100 list is not complete yet, but we know they're out in round number 40. Jalen,
C.J. Stroud actually was just unveiled.
Wow. And Jalen Hurts has not been unveiled yet. Okay, where was he, like 40-ish?
39, I think.
So we're in the top 30-something, and we haven't heard Jalen. So we'll see. Maybe Jalen's going to be a top 30 player. Maybe he's not going to be in the list altogether. There is a theme, though. Does anyone else pick up on the theme? The theme is that we here put him on a different level than everywhere else around football. Of course. I mean, it's so obvious. Like
Because he's a hot button topic.
Well-
and the bottom line is this. Maybe it's the era that I came up in. And I look back at some of the other quarterbacks that I look at and compare Jalen to that other people don't see it. Because to me, when I look at Jalen, when you talk about what he is as a passer, he skews more Joe Montana to me than anybody else.
Joe Montana.
And what I mean by that is, listen, what I mean by that is he was in an era where you had Dan Marino, Jim Kelly, Boomer Esiason, and all those other guys. When you had quarterbacks that had big arms and threw the ball all over the place.
Sure.
Joe Montana wasn't that guy. He was a dink and dunk guy. He was the father of the West Coast offense, and he got the ball in the hands of the playmakers, and they made plays.
Yeah.
But he was considered the GOAT of his time. And I understand that now. It's almost like this. Remember back in the day in the NBA, you had a team, and it was about the team. You had Scotty and Jordan and then the cast of characters that helped the team. Now you have the big one. You had an era where you went through, you had a couple players that made your team better. Now it looks like it's going back to the team-oriented game.
I agree.
So
that's roster wins.
that's how I look at it. I feel like Jalen gets vilified because how he's done such a great job of amassing talent around him.
I don't think it's vilifying Jalen. It's just an evaluation.
Yeah. Like
And I said,
it's fair to use that stuff to evaluate.
I said, I don't think it's fair to penalize him for having talent.
Did we not just say on Friday that Tanner McKee could take this team to the
well,
playoffs?
well, some of you guys did.
I'm sorry,
I said he could take you to the
that's
playoffs,
how
but
we
he's
really
not.
feel about this team.
He could take you to the playoffs, but he ain't gonna win you no Super Bowl.
Sure, that's okay. Fine, but how much does that say about the talent that Jalen has around him? That is a part of it. It has to be.
I also think that
I don't think that's fair in the assessment of who.
Fair.
Okay, that's fine.
I also think I think it's being lost for some. I think him winning the Super Bowl is baked into why he's ranked number 9. He didn't play like the top 10 quarterback for most of last season.
Is
I think he got bumped up.
Is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer?
Probably.
Okay, why is he a Hall of Famer?
Because he won 2 Super Bowls.
Okay. What was his career like?
Was Eli ever a top 5 quarterback in the NFL?
But he's
Maybe a year. Maybe.
But that's why these are two different arguments.
Yeah.
It's the same argument.
not.
Unquantifiable intangibles.
No,
The fact that
But a Hall of Fame is a celebration of a career. Where you rank in the moment is where you rank in the moment.
in the moment he's better than every other quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes in that tier 1 1 category.
Does it not resonate with anybody so the panel here that voted? 6 general managers, 6 assistant general managers, 6 former GMs, 5 other executives, 8 head coaches and 19 other coaches.
And you know what all I hear?
The head coaches stand out to me.
You know what I
they're
hear?
scheming against him.
You know what I hear? A bunch of coaches that didn't want to put their name on it. And
But they
that's
can't
all
put their name on it.
I understand. I hear what you're saying.
That's why you get an actual valid list, because they're anonymous.
I was always told that everybody's not going to be a tier 1 quarterback. Jalen has done something that you've admitted to that those tier 1 guys couldn't do. And he's been there twice. Okay, the first time Saquon wasn't here, and they went to the Super Bowl, and they almost won that.
Mm-hmm. I thought he was better that season.
And he played his ass off, right?
Season.
There's been 2 games that Jalen has been two of the most meaningful games in his career he's played in that he showed his ass.
He did show his whole ass.
He showed his whole entire ass.
I think what's going on here is we value the big games because they mean something to us. While the people that vote on these things or just give their opinion, they're looking at the whole picture. And the whole picture is good, not great. That's the picture of his career.
And
good,
that's where the other stuff comes into play, because they have to remove all the other variables.
Yes.
Which is the team around him, all that stuff. It's not a penalty. It's just a part of the evaluation.
What is every team vying for right now to try to put themselves in position to win the Super Bowl, right?
But again, these are different arguments. Like we're not arguing who has won the Super Bowl. That list is defined. We're arguing who is the better individual player.
I gave you he's a tier 2 quarterback.
You did say
I gave you that.
Yeah, I get that, but I just the whole thing about the talent he has around him. That's what helps players and teams win, not what puts one individual ahead of the other.
What's interesting about his ranking is Hugh said it was fair. I think it's fair too. I mean, I think it's totally fair where they have him. This is the lowest, though, a Super Bowl winning quarterback has been on this ranking since Nick Foles in 2017. So every other Super Bowl quarterback since then has been rated higher on this particular exercise. So he's the lowest ranked Super Bowl winning quarterback since Nick Foles, which is ironic in its own way because it was the Eagles last time and now it's the Eagles again. I think it speaks to a lot of things. How good the roster is that the Eagles put around these quarterbacks and the lack of consistent excellence. Like, Jalen doesn't have that as part of his resume. Hugh, I think if Jalen starts playing consistently excellent to go along with the playoff success and the ring he already has, then he is going to be tier 1.
Different. Yeah, he's going to look that different.
Of course
and that's important for him this year. It's going to be important that he does that this year because that's what everybody's looking at to see how consistent he is.
So there were 48 votes. He got 3 tier 1 votes. He got 35 tier 2 votes, and he got 12 tier 3 votes. It is kind of interesting how the description of 3 did fit him too. I mean, I would put him in tier 2, but the description of 3.
The description of 3 probably fit him the best.
Run game, defense, passing game in smaller doses.
And so they're going to put this. I find this interesting too. They're going to put this thing out there. A lot of fans are going to react to it. Who do you think the number one, most polarizing player on that list is going to be? And it's probably going to be Jalen Hurts because of how sensitive Eagles fans are about it. If you look at the rest of that list and say that's fair for this guy and everybody else, but Jalen's the only one, maybe look in the mirror.
Maybe it's us. Maybe we're the problem. I agree. I don't think any of this is egregious. It might be the best quarterback list we've seen so far in terms of it all. When you go through the tiers, it's that fits that. The only one I would say I don't consider Stafford as a guy that's carrying them anymore. I think their young defense. I think Puka.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
I would drop Stafford down.
And if you're being fair, Joe Burrow came into the league on what they say, born on third base or whatever. How's the saying?
Third base. He went to the Bengals.
Yeah, he went to the Bengals and he had 2. They gave him 2 receivers out the gate.
He had no all line.
Yeah, but they still had 2 good receivers that he was familiar with.
He went to the Bengals.
He still had
born on third base.
2 good receivers.
Guy was born in the gutter going to the Bengals.
Who were they playing that year? They went to the Super Bowl?
They had the number 1 overall pick to get him, right? We can't just.
Yeah, they were the worst team in the league.
That's not being born on third base.
Yeah, but they went out and gave him base. They gave him some receivers though. He had talent when he came out. He had talent since day one.
All right, first base.
He had receivers.
Okay, second base.
All he had is receivers. What other talent did he have?
Second base.
I guess
in a shoddy division.
I guess my point is
they have Lamar and they have the Steelers in the division.
Okay,
all these other guys, if you want to debate, maybe you move them up a spot or 2 or down a spot or 2. That's the variance. The variance with Jalen to us is 9. He's number 2. Get a grip. I'm sorry.
Also, he did move up 2 spots from last year, which is, I think that's it. It's baked into him winning the big game. All right, your reaction to all that. 215-592-9494. Tier 2, Jalen Hurts on the quarterback list of The Athletic. Again, the definition, a Tier 2 quarterback can carry his team sometimes, but not as consistently. He can handle pure passing situations in doses and or possesses other dimensions that are special enough to elevate him above tier 3. He has a hole or two in his game. I think it's very fair. And he's right smack dab in the middle of that tier, along with Daniels, Herbert, Goff, C.J. Stroud, and a few others.